This is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at a mod for the Gavril H series called the H45 Capster Very Tall Cargo Box Upfit. That's a long name. So it's a heavy-duty variant equipped with a very tall cargo box upfit. Take caution around any bridges or corners. So you see it's being cut off of the screen right here, so it really makes you wonder, just how tall is this thing? So, let's find out. It is this tall, and I had to zoom out more than I expected there. Now let's go ahead and try to take it for a drive. We're gonna see just what happens if I don't pay attention to anything at all and I just drive. Although I can't even see what's in front of me. It's so tall, even after I zoom out and zoom out and zoom out, I still can't see what's in front of me. The camera angle I would have to use would have to be ridiculous. Whoa! I saw that coming a little bit too late. I like the way that the rear door is still there somehow. Let's see if it'll open up still if I hit the open button. Yep, it still opens up somehow. But the doors really do work fine when they're actually connected to the truck. Even though they're so big, they have no problem staying closed or staying open. Whichever way you want them, they'll stay like that. Although you'll notice they do jiggle a lot when you open them back and forth. But it really doesn't matter what it looks like as they open, as long as it does its job, and it does do its job. So let's start driving this from an angle where we can actually see what's in front of us a little bit. I think that's a good angle. It looks really, really weird, but it works. Although, whoa, this thing really wants to tip, don't it? I think this thing actually might be more tip happy than an Ibishu pigeon. And that's really saying something considering how easy it is to tip a pigeon. I almost have to come to a complete stop here to make sure I didn't tip over trying to go around this corner. You'll also notice by default, this thing has an open differential, which means when you're kind of bouncing all over the place like that, it's even harder to control than if you had a welded one. So later on, I might throw a welded one in to make it a little bit more interesting, because then we can go faster and be more reckless and be closer to tipping, but still recover it. With the open one, it becomes kind of difficult to recover from a tip. That's why I'm trying to make sure I don't tip it too much. Like, look at that. We were going 15 miles per hour and it still tips and leans. And I'm being as careful as I need to be. Look, 20 miles per hour and boom, it will tip over. No problem. A pigeon at 20 miles per hour, they're fine. So does it do any damage when it tips over? Not really. It was actually a pretty gentle tipping. You see some dents in the giant doors, but the actual container area itself looks, for the most part, fine. How about we mix up the camera angle a little bit more? We're going to go with a camera that's exclusive for this mod. We have the onboard roof camera. So we are on top of the giant upfit. Every movement we do swings the trailer all over the place. It's just one of the most chaotic feeling things to drive because I don't even feel like I'm in control when I use this camera angle. Oh, right here, here's a good example of the open differential. You notice how it just kind of stops accelerating as we sway back and forth like this? That's because only one tire is touching the ground. And when that happens with the open differential, it puts all the power to the tire that's in the air. If we get a welded differential, it'll put the power down to both of the tires at the same time. It'll make it a heck of a lot faster, I'm sure. And we'll get that upgrade in just a bit, but first I want to see what it looks like when we get into a crash using this camera angle. So I'm going to go straight down this road, which I think gets us to the hotel, which is a very low hanging area we can drive under. And hopefully we can have an impact that'll strip the cargo box right off the truck, just like the first crash we had. See if we can angle this thing upright. Come on. Yeah, I think that was angled upright. It's hard to tell because the camera is so far from the bottom of the vehicle, but I did what I wanted to do. And somehow, the box is still attached to the cab. I thought for certain that it would fall right off just like before. I guess we just weren't going as fast. Or maybe it hit it a little bit too low. On the positive, though, we got to see what it looks like when you get some damage on it. So now let's go ahead and install the welded rear differential. So we go to rear suspension, rear differential, and we change that from open to welded. Now we can accelerate all the time, and I should be able to go a lot faster. And I should be able to control it a lot easier while it's tipping over. And you can see right off the start, we have all kinds of extra control through here as we're able to tip it all over the place and mostly stay in control until we hit something that's so high up I couldn't even see it. I guess we just hit a light pole, or maybe one of the lights was really angry at me for running a red. Anyways, let's see if we can pull this thing back onto its wheels and keep on driving. It looks like it's mostly intact, so I think this should work. Yeah. That's gonna work, as long as it doesn't wobble itself apart. You know, I don't need to worry about the tipping as much now. Look at this. We can lean it control it. That's the power of a welded differential, and also the confidence I get from a welded differential. I feel a lot more confident that I can control this thing knowing that I'm always going to be able to put down the power. Here we go, cornering tight. Oh! Okay, that time I saw how I hit the light pole. So it looks like you can go through the parts that overhang the streets, but you can't hit the part that's just a pole sticking out of the ground. When it leans over far enough, it'll hit that object. That's the problem. Uh-oh. I think we're stuck inside of it now. I could try to fix this by just yanking. Yank harder. Yank it. Nope, yanking's not going to work. I removed the truck from it. There we go. Yeah, that worked great. New plan. How about we try out the other camera angle we haven't messed with yet? We're going to use the internal driver camera and see what that looks like as we drive this thing around. Going around the first corner. Oh, man, it feels like it's tipping a lot. I don't know if that's just the camera angle or if it really was tipping a lot. I think we need to do a little test. We're going to go to where it looks like it's tipping a lot, like that, and then see what it looks like on the outside. Oh, yeah, that is definitely tipping a lot. I don't even know if I can recover this. Oh, and now we're tipping the other way. Okay, this is not how I foresaw this going. This is really not how I foresaw this going. I thought we were done. I thought we were going to tip over right in the intersection. Somehow, I managed to use the sidewalk to keep myself upright. Okay, I'm going to be really nice and safe on this corner because I still want to hit the top of this thing using the top camera angle where the top flies off. I wish I'm going more than fast enough to be able to do that through here, and I think it is also tall enough to hit that bridge just up ahead. Although that is a really tall bridge now that I look at it, but we are even taller. We're 4 stories tall, and I have no idea what's happening. How did the camera just clear it? What's going on here? Okay, so I guess the camera isn't actually directly attached to the top part of the truck. It's attached to like the base of the truck and then it's floated up above it or something. Because you can see everything over there is ruined, but somehow the camera went right over the bridge. Can't explain it any other way. All right, now I want to go ahead and switch maps. So, because this is not the easiest to work with, because if you tip too far left or too far right, you end up hitting things. I want to go to a map that has big, wide open areas. So I think a good map for that is probably going to be Utah, USA. And up until this point, all we've done is driven an empty truck. Now, it's time to drive a truck with some stuff inside of it. What are we going to put inside of it? Well, I wish there was something that perfectly fit inside of here that was really, really tall. The closest thing to that is the Christmas tree, except the Christmas tree doesn't have any sort of collisions to it, so nothing will happen if I try to put that in there. So instead, we're going to put a stack of things in there. The question is, a stack of what? And I did a lot of thinking about this, and I realized, you know what? The best thing to do, we're going to start light, and then we're going to move on to heavy stuff. We're going to put a stack of balls, and maybe we'll get all the way up to a stack of cars. So to get the ball in there, we're going to go ahead and use the map editor. So to do that, we hit F11, and then we're going to hit J to freeze physics, Shift C to move the camera separate from the vehicle. We just grab the ball. We're going to line it up as close as we can to being inside of the truck. And we're going to do this many more times off camera until I have a full truck of balls. So I'll be back once that's complete. Okay, the balls have been placed. They look like that inside of the truck. So let's get them back inside the truck, get out of the map editor, unfreeze physics, and see what happens. So we got some damage to the rear door, but it looks like the balls are being held in place. So at this version of the truck, I do not have the locked or welded differential. So I have to be careful when I drive it to not tip it at all if I want to be able to accelerate. So with the balls inside of the truck, it looks like we are fine. There is no issue with them trying to fall out the rear, at least with basic, simple, gentle maneuvering. Let's try to go a little more complex with this. Go a little swerving side to side, getting up on 2 wheels just a little bit. I guess we're up on 3 wheels. We're not quite up on 2 wheels yet. Okay, well, we're up on 4 wheels because we got dualies in the back. Whatever, you know what I mean. That's fine. Let's just do a hard corner and see if they'll fall out. Whoop, onto its side, and nope, they're nice and secured. Even if they've fallen over, they are secured in the truck. All right, we got to reset all of the balls, which is going to take a second to do. That's all of them. So there we go, back the way it should be. And let's try opening the door and driving around now and see if they fall out, which they should do. Yep, there they go. They are falling out one by one, although the door's a little deformed. I wonder if that's going to make them get blocked somehow. Maybe that one, yeah. You see the one on the top is a little bit stuck in the door because it got deformed, but the rest of them all fell out, no problem. And you can tell that one really wants to fall out. It just can't. It's doing its best. Now, for the final test, ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. I kind of crushed that ball. For the final test, what we're going to do is we're going to get up to speed and attempt to enter the tunnel. I say attempt to enter the tunnel because I know we are way too tall to go into that tunnel. So really what we're actually doing, we're going to see what happens when we crash into the tunnel. But it feels more scientific if I say we're going to see what happens when we attempt to enter the tunnel instead of we're going to crash into a tunnel. And this vehicle isn't that fast. It's probably going to top out at around 60 miles per hour. So once we get up to about 50, that's good enough for me for a speed to turn around at. So we'll just go ahead and turn around when we get to the end of this bridge because that's a nice big wide open space that makes it easier to do so. Now, do I want to cut through the dirt? Yes, I do. Whoa, as long as it doesn't tip on me, I want to. It would have probably been smart not to do that, but I just saw my opportunity and I took it. As long as we didn't completely tip over, it wasn't a mistake. It was just a foolish decision. And now that I'm driving along, that corner coming up, it looks a little tighter than I thought it was. Every corner looks tight though when your vehicle wants to tip over. I think that's the problem. It doesn't look so bad now that we kind of see around the rocks. It's actually surprisingly easy for this vehicle not to tip over as we go through it. It's leaning, but it ain't tipping. All right, so let's get a good camera angle for this. I really want to be able to admire the impact. So this should be a good camera angle where we can see both the top of the truck and the truck going inside of the tunnel. That is a perfectly aligned camera, actually. And unfortunately, the box is holding together more than I wanted. I wanted to actually fall apart and have the balls bouncing all over the place. Instead, it just kind of held up and popped the whole truck into the air. So we'll reset the truck and let's give it some upgrades, okay? We're going to give it some real serious upgrades. Starting with the engine block, let's get that ultra heavy duty long block. We'll put the stage 3 supercharger on it. And since we're here, let's go ahead and put on the welded differential so that way we can really put down all this extra power. Next, we'll go ahead and get all the balls and put them back into the truck and we'll be ready to go. Excellent, let's do this. We're gonna do the exact same thing as last time. Whoa, I couldn't steer for a second there. I think I might have popped a little bit of a wheelie. Anyways, though, we're gonna do the exact same thing as last time. We'll go around the bridge and come back in and hopefully with my newly upgraded wheelie truck, we'll be going quite a bit faster. I'm thinking maybe, well, it depends how well I can control this thing. If I can really control it well, we might even be able to hit 100 miles per hour. But since I don't think this thing's easy to control at all, I'll be happy with about 70 to 80 miles per hour, which is still a good bit faster than the last run. And woo, getting sketchy on the slowdown. This thing is hilarious to drive. It just bounces all over the place in every which direction. You have to be so careful and watch it so closely to make sure you don't tip over. Here we go, popping the biggest wheelie we can, and I almost wish we didn't have that extra piece of metal in the rear. Think of how big the wheelie could have been. Oh, come on, stay level. Stop threatening to tip. We're friends. You would never do that to me. You're gonna go in a straight line and, ooh, it's starting to overheat. That's not good. It's gonna go in a straight line though. We're gonna be going about 70 miles per hour. That's not bad. It's a good upgrade from the last speed, and all I care is that we go fast enough to break apart the block. Is this gonna be fast enough? Yes, it is. There go the soccer balls. Excellent. That went exactly as I hoped. It couldn't have gone any better. So here's a look at the wreckage of the box, and we can go ahead and move on to the truck and see what happened to it. There's actually one piece still attached to the truck, and I'm kind of curious, can we drive with that? Oh, yes, we can. And I'm basically an electric bus at this point. I'm getting all my power from the roof of the tunnel. Except that's not true at all. All it's doing is it's making it harder to steer because it's kind of pulling my front wheels up into the air a little bit. But that's still pretty cool. Anyways, now let's go ahead and move on to the next goal. Instead of giant soccer balls, we're now going to put cars inside of it. And we're just going to use a bunch of Broco Legrands because why not? So I'll be back once it's set up. Okay, the cars have all been stacked with one small change. Instead of using Legrands, we're now using Ibishu Corvettes. Why? Because they fit inside of the truck better. The Legrand stuck out a little bit. These ones, they fit inside perfectly. So let's go ahead and get out of the map editor, get a good camera angle, unfreeze physics, and see what happens. All right, initial impressions are good. The door actually looks like it's more intact right now than it was with the soccer balls. That's really promising. So how does it drive? Does it want to tip over really, really hard? You betcha. I don't even need to drive it to tell you it's going to want to tip over. We're going to see just how well we can control it. And being very careful here, but you see just the littlest amount of gas will pop the whole front of the vehicle up into the air. We could do this all day. The gas brake dip. No problem there. Except for maybe the fact that the covettes will fall out of the rear. We don't want that to happen. So let's do something that will almost assuredly ruin everything. We're going to do a drag race where I just don't let up. So here's the thing. When we floor it, the front wheels aren't going to be on the ground. I'm going to have no steering at all. We're at the mercy of physics through this whole thing. So here we go. Flooring it. Yeah, I can't steer at all. We're going to go to the right whether I want to or not. Got a little bit of steering. Oh, no. Any little bit of steering, though, that makes it want to tip. Oh, no. That was interesting. That was a lot more difficult to control than I expected. I thought maybe once we got up to speed, it might get a little bit harder, but that was bad. Hey, can we open up the doors and see how the Corvettes look? Oh, they're fine. They're perfectly fine, I think. All right, let's reset everybody and then do a little bit more fun with this. So I want to see, can we dump all of the cars right out of the back of this thing? It worked pretty well with the soccer balls, and I expect it to work even better with the cars because they actually got some mass to them. They're not going to get stuck on the doors like the soccer balls, I bet. So there should be enough room to do it. We're just going to floor it and see what happens. Oh, that was beautiful. I could not have asked for that to look any better. The truck over here, he's still going at it. Wheels in the air, trying to accelerate. Not going to do nothing, man. You did your best, though. All right, let's go ahead and reset everything up. And we're going to do one final thing I want to try to do, which means the door needs to be closed. I want to try to crash this thing into a rock at hopefully high speeds. With all this weight, I genuinely don't know how fast we'll be able to go. I mean, we got a lot of power. We also got a lot of weight, a lot of air resistance, and a lot of instability. So we'll see how well this does. And I know there are some rocks in the middle of the road up ahead. If I can get through the bridge and then a little bit more, we'll be able to make it. I also have to worry, will it overheat before that happens? Because I know this thing started to overheat really fast before, and that's also before it had all this extra weight. Now with all this extra weight, it's probably going to overheat even faster than before. In fact, yeah, coolant is overheating, but I see my rock. We can just coast, and we'll still be going 70 miles per hour at this point. We're actually losing speed because the engine is being destroyed in the process, but there's my rock. There's my impact, and let's see what happens. Oh, this is great. Look at that. It just launches the cars right out. That is beautiful. I can't think of a more beautiful crash to do than this one. So you know what? That's going to do it for this video. Until next time, this has been WhyBeAre. And remember, if you like or dislike this video, I will know. I can tell by how tall the truck is. So do the right thing, and I'll see you next time.